All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first meeting of the new year. I call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Hopkinton Select Board is being held both in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. All members participating in the meeting are going to be present in the meeting room. The public has the option of attending in person here at Town Hall or via Zoom using the link posted in this meeting's agenda. This meeting is being recorded. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, Brian. Next, we will move to public forum. Each person will have up to 2 minutes to speak at public forum. Please start by stating your name and address. Tonight, this public forum is going to go until 6:15 because we need to open a public hearing. So if someone still has to speak, I'll ask at 6:15 and we can pick that up later on in the meeting so that everyone has a chance to talk. So with that, if anyone would like to start, come on up. Welcome.
Thank you. Ed Harrow, 8 Spring Lane, speaking as chair of the Open Space Preservation Commission and opining as the town fence viewer. On the 25th of October, I believe it was, a tree that was on town property, open space property, fell on the car of an abutter. The town insurance company said, TDB, yeah, I guess I can say that. You can figure that out. Because the abutter hadn't notified anyone that this tree was a hazard. I find that reprehensible. Now I'm going to opine as the fence viewer. We all probably know Robert Frost and his poem, Mending Walls, which had the famous line in it, good fences make good neighbors. As the fence viewer, I try to turn it around and say, good neighbors make good fences. This is about abutters, this is about relationships, this is about being good neighbors. This is not about the $1,400 or so that we told the abutter. Too bad, I find, as I said, appalling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Who else would like to come up?
Yes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks. Barry Rosenblum, 10 Briar Cliff Drive. I had a question for the board on the upcoming agenda item on the TIF. The concern about the tax concessions of any TIF at a time when our taxes have risen substantially in the future looks like more of the same. I'd like to understand the benefit of issuing a TIF. Please explain what's the cost in real dollars in the TIF agreement versus the benefit to the town. I just don't understand it. I know the amount of foregone real estate taxes is probably a drop in the bucket annually over the 7 years of the term of the contract. But I still like to understand the answer to the question. I did a quick calculation. It's somewhere in $250,000 to $300,000 in taxes foregone over the next 7 years. And it is small in terms of our large budget. But I just don't understand the need for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to come speak? Welcome. Happy New Year.
John Laskowski, 15 Loring Drive. Tonight, I want to talk about and present some data here around Town Manager Elaine Lazaris' failed her responsibility to protect public safety. And there's misrepresentation of some town policies she's been discussing and made unilateral decisions and policy changes without select board approval. Elaine has detailed knowledge of the town operations for over 10 years. She's been part of the town licensing process for 5 years and entered the role of town manager in April of 2024. And in December of 13th, 2024, when Peter Sismanis applied for his Vic license past the application deadline, Elaine and the select board did not vote or approve his license in December, no contingencies or nothing. It was though Hiller's Pizza did not exist, even though public knowledge of his arrest and ongoing trial. Elaine let Hiller's Pizza operate for 21 days without a valid business license in this town. Not until January 21st did Elaine add Hiller's to the consent agenda, where it was swiftly and just stealthily consented in one big swoop for approval. There's no evidence Hiller's applied, and also there's no evidence Hiller's applied for required entertainment license, which requires a query, by the way. And for licenses that involve alcohol, town policy specifically states, and this is your policy, I quote, "The board will conduct a background check of applicant's proposed manager and any individual financial interest in that applicant." Yet the town application has no input for anybody that has financial interest in those businesses. It's just left off. On November 12th, she came in here and provided documents that explain past current policies that were under consideration to, quote, "improve the common vic license process." At that meeting, she stated query background checks were not a requirement. Okay, yet as far back as 2016, HPD commented on common vic license applicants on your own checklist. It's a requirement in the checkbox from 2021 on to have queries, and they weren't done. And she's stating in here they weren't required at all. We find that just ridiculous. The application checklist from 2021 listed as a requirement from 2021. She makes these misleading statements in 2025 to apply. No such requirement existed, even when she sat in these meetings for renewals as assistant town manager for years. And she knows it. 2 minutes, I'm done, thank you.
Hi, Marie Laskowski, 15 Loring Drive, Ashland. In continuance, Elaine has pretended to do improvements to the process by adding queries and sorries. But at the same time, she removed HPD input, police input that has been part of the VIC license process for 10 plus years. Database checks do not replace police professional judgment. She is setting a dangerous precedent for public safety in Hopkinton at a time when we should be doing the opposite. To make matters worse, Elaine employed these new processes in year-end 2025 renewals. Show us the select board vote that authorized removing police from licensing oversight, or even adding a sorry. You will not find it because she did it unilaterally without approval and presented these as improvements. That is not her authority per town policy. That is your authority, select board, and she usurped it. She removed police inspections from the process at a time when it was most needed. She has publicly made statements that are misleading to you, the select board, and to the public to cover mistakes and neglect of her role around licensing. She ignores the town's own policy requirement for background checks for people who have financial interests in the applicants. So the town manager with decades of experience in town licensing can't get it right. A sex offender was approved for license while on trial in open court under her watch in 2024. Her response was to remove police oversight and mislead the public and select board about policy history. It is time that we hold her accountable for her actions. Town manager Elaine Lazarus must be included in the upcoming independent investigation on public safety in this town. Hire a truly independent firm. She cannot lead or influence the investigation, and she cannot investigate her own failures. As this board should suspend her November 2025 policy changes until you, not the town manager, review and approve them. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
May I provide these to the chair?
Yes.
Just to review, this is the consent agenda from 2025, January 21st, of when Sismanis was finally approved for his VIC license without contingencies. I'm also including in this packet your own laws, or policies, that were revised. Well, they were adopted January 1st, 2017, and revised November 7, 17, and April 4th, 2022, that basically show here how a query is required for anyone for an entertainment license. And also in this packet, yes, and also in this packet is the policy that states that the entertainment license, that the Vic license for alcohol is to include a background check for those that also have a financial interest in the applicant. I'm not sure I got the dates right. I don't know if I spoke of the dates right, but it's in your packet correctly.
We'll take a look. Thank you, Marie. Anyone else for public forum?
Thank you.
Amy, are you on the Zoom? Thank you.
Yeah, there are people on the Zoom, but there are no hands raised.
All right. If that's the case, then we will move on. So up next. One sec. Can I start the public hearing early, or a few minutes early, right?
I have to wait.
All right. So tonight, we have no public forum statement from the select board, so item number 4, there's nothing there. We've got a few minutes, so I think we'll move to the consent agenda. The select board will consider the following consent agenda. The board will consider approving the minutes of December 2nd, 2025. The board will consider approving a parade permit application submitted by Troy Hoyt on behalf of the Hoyt Foundation for the 4th Annual Dick Hoyt Memorial 5-mile road race to be held on April 11th, 2026 at 10 a.m. The race starts at the Marathon School and ends at EMC Park with partial road closures that are to be discussed with the police department. And lastly, the select board will consider affirming the town manager's appointments of Britt Foster, assistant treasurer and collector, and William Burke, food service worker for the senior center. So I'll start. Does anyone have anything they want to break out or discuss individually, or just general comments from the board on these items?
Breakout, just welcome to Britt Foster for joining our town. Congratulations. And I move the consent agenda as written on the select board meeting agenda.
All right, there's a motion, a second. Do we have any additional comments as people look through? I did want to ask Elaine, as we look at the parade permit application, I know we've done this in years past, but is everything in order with the application?
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
Permitting team comments are set.
Okay. Any other comments from the boards or thoughts? All good? So we've got a motion and second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Okay. All right, 6:13. So the next one is the TIF agreement. I don't think we have time to go into any of these other items. So we will open up the public hearing in just a minute.
Could we do the appointment for the Conservation Commission? There's only one applicant.
Where's that one?
It's number 9.
Yep, that's a good one, Amy. So the board will consider appointing Margaret Shaw to the Concom to a term expiring June 30th, 2026. Open up to the board if there's any thoughts or comments.
I know Peggy has been on other boards, including the Board of Appeals and I think Open Space Commission, so I'm glad that she stepped up for Conservation Commission.
Yeah, we just had multiple people here who would have had a strong opinion, so if I haven't heard it, welcome to the board.
I believe there's a Concom meeting as we speak right now.
Oh,
Tricky.
No, I think she'd be a great candidate, and I'm good with it.
Brian?
Great, all good.
Perfect. So I'll look for a motion then.
I would move to appoint Margaret Shaw to the Conservation Commission to a term expiring June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further thoughts? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous.
If she's at the meeting, do we want to just email her that she was appointed? She still has to be sworn in, though.
She wasn't able to come this evening anyway.
Okay. Well, we appreciate her volunteering for that. It is almost 6:15. just not sure where mine. Did you grab my script?
You can take.
No, here it is. It got pushed in. All right. No, we're good.
Oh,
Yeah. So it is 6:15. We will now open the public hearing. Select Board will hold a public hearing relative to the transfer of the Section 12 all-alcohol license for Orale Inc. from Mauricio Bremerman to Victor Roman, a restaurant located at 2224 Main Street. Is the applicant here to join us? Would you like to come on up?
Hey, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you two would like to introduce yourselves, we want to hear from you and, obviously taking over this important role in the business, and then we'll kind of open it up to the board to ask any questions and get any thoughts, okay?
Okay.
Of course, I can start off. So, my name is Stani Garcia, so I'm the Latino guy. So, with my dad, Victor Roman, so we're here to provide you guys to the whole town good service, good food, good drink sometimes. So, anytime that you guys want to have a good experience, so you're more than welcome.
My name is Victor Roman, and I'm from Puerto Rico guy. I coming over here for my son, open the restaurant for everybody. He can go there, enjoy the food, everything.
Perfect. Well, appreciate you both coming. I'll start with the board for any, questions or comments. Amy, would you like to start?
I think just confirming all the paperwork is in order. They have the alcohol license from the state, and it's just a transfer of the owner's name.
Transfer.
Yeah. And the permitting team comments were all positive or addressed.
There was one item that the fire chief flagged, but it's more for the renewal, which is later on this evening, than for
Okay.
the transfer of license.
Okay.
Thank you, Elaine. That was the question I had, was I wanted to be clear here, we're talking about the transfer of the licensure and not necessarily the sought-out expansions in the existing license.
Correct.
Okay, then I don't have any other further questions based on review here.
Shaidu?
I'm good.
Brian?
Full disclosure, I had lunch there today. I forgot that we were having this tonight. I don't see any conflict with that. It was an excellent meal. Thank you. No questions. Thank you.
So nice.
Perfect, yeah. I have no additional questions, appreciate you guys coming in. Obviously, the thing we say with anyone that takes over these licenses and stuff, especially with an alcohol license, it's very important to help keep the residents safe. That responsibility, falls on you as the license holder. So we just make sure to reiterate that. It's a very important thing in this town. We've got a lot of youth in here that we take very seriously. So we always like to wrap it up with that and stress the importance there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. With that, I will look for a motion.
Chair, should we go to the public, see if there's any comments?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment from the public? Yep. No, you can come grab a mic.
Hi, good.
I'm Marie.
And Victor.
Nice to meet you, Victor. What's your name?
Maureen, Stani.
Hi, Stanley. Nice to
got
meet
it.
you. May I use the microphone? Okay, thank you. So I just have some questions regarding the process itself, and understanding now that we know that those that have a financial interest should also have a query done in regards to the licensing process and the transfer of the alcohol license. Has anyone asked the applicant if there are other individuals that have a financial stake in him or in the business?
Mr. Chair, we don't know that to be fact. That's been suggested, but that would have to be by town council.
Sir, I gave you that information, the policy, just 10 minutes ago.
We don't have that verified by town council, Mr. Chair. We can't respond to something that's not.
Yeah.
Sir, we should be able to check the policy with town manager right now. She should be able to provide that that is a policy. We can pull that policy up right now, sir. Can we please check with the town manager if that is current policy?
I believe it's time for the public comment.
That is, I am asking the question through the chair.
And, I'll look for the board. Again, the biggest thing for me is like it's new information that we need to vet, like when it comes through.
Ruby, we can take you in good faith, and it has likely been provided to us accurately and as exists. We have to digest it, and it has to go to town council based on what you're talking about, because in a world where you are accurately describing it to us, this is much bigger than this particular issue. There are significant potential ramifications.
Absolutely.
Which I know you are aware of.
Yes.
That's why we are trying to respond, I don't want to say diplomatically, we're trying to respond mindfully. We really do need to go through this. We're not going to be able to bully our way to an answer tonight, and this is me saying that. I bully professionally.
Yes, and in response to that, my concern is that we have a town manager that can't quote the process or the policy.
Ruby.
That's, I just want to, just hear me out. I have a right to speak. And with that being said, I would hope going forward that not to be the case in the next time. My first question is this, though. Is there anyone else that has a financial stake in your business other than you?
Chair, it was not.
Whoa, you can't ask them that.
Okay.
We're in a back and forth.
This, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm
is
sorry.
why you are in the position that you're
I'm
in.
incredibly uncomfortable with where this discussion has gone. You are now essentially acting as a proxy member of the board asking questions. That isn't appropriate. You've given us a policy. We've committed to review the policy. We've explained why we don't believe we can respond on it in real time. We are making an assessment here with the information that is provided before us. And candidly, I am uncomfortable with the degree to which this is beginning to feel personal.
This is not, sir, I have
I'm not
no
speaking,
personal
miss,
against
I am
you.
not speaking in regards to the gentleman you are sitting next to. I am speaking in regards to the way in which you've been addressing our town manager.
Yes.
I would like to ask that we have given you our answer on this. We hear you. We have taken the material. We are absolutely going to review it. We are going to respond. We need to be able to move on here, and I need you to acknowledge that we are the elected members up here. You are not.
Absolutely, and hence the questions while I'm asking. You are correct.
We have someone
Through the chair, I would echo what my colleague, Mr. Kizna, has said. And may I remind, this is a public forum, and
Yes.
please go through the chair all the
It's a
time.
public hearing.
Public
Yes, and I
hearing.
did ask through the chair.
You were asking direct questions.
I believe I did.
But it's gone back and forth since without that.
Fair
It's a-
enough.
it's a
Yes, I
formality.
apologize, Chair.
Yeah. So I think, again, I echo what my board shares. We do take, like, what you're bringing up very seriously. We will look at this appropriately with council, and we will consider this moving forward. I don't see anything right now that should prevent us from moving forward with this license transfer.
Can I offer you one more piece of information, and I'll just hand it to you, and you can decide from there. I'm not sure who the owner of the business is, because on the license renewal from 11/3, it's just the past owner's name, and that may be okay, I don't know. But it just conflicts with the current application that has this gentleman's name. And this isn't, I don't believe this has anything to do with them. I believe it is an issue that has to with your town manager that literally has some issues with process. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray.
Through the chair, I have a question for you and for us, sort of in response to this. This is the first time in which we've had an item presented to us since I joined the board in which there's been a potential question raised that we are acknowledging needs to go to town council. I'm not familiar with whether or not that merits us pausing this decision and discussion to consult town council. I'm not familiar with whether or not we should be expecting to call town council now, but I do want to ask that question, not because I'm questioning our judgment here, but in deference to the fact that this may be a legal issue. I do not want to create more challenge or churn for us. I want to give us the maximum chance to respond appropriately. So I wanted to at least ask the question of those of you who are a little more experienced than me about what the right way to approach this is.
So there's not an avenue for us to call council right now and get a real-time update?
Okay.
So we as a board have to decide on the path forward collectively.
Mr. Chair. Elaine, can you comment specifically on the ownership question? Are we good there? Do you feel the applicant's documents are in order?
Yeah, so both of these are going through the ABCC process. And so we follow the state's process. the transfer occurs, and then the license is renewed. So it's going together to the ABCC, and we're following their process.
And do you believe the documents submitted to date are in order?
Yes.
And as town council would not review those at this stage, right?
No, but it's,
Typically, they would not review them at all.
right, so the applicant goes through the ABCC, and once they go through the ABCC process, they get sent to us.
Can you speak to the Corey piece of this puzzle? It was,
So all of the applicants and managers have been quarried
okay.
and
so
storied.
these gentlemen in front of us have been quarried.
Yes.
Is that correct? And
Both of you, yes.
and the gentleman, Victor, has been quarried as the new potential owner. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, good. I'm good, Mr. Chair. I think we can proceed. Thank you.
Yep. I agree. I think the other part of this was, you know, if we go back, it was about 2 months ago now, we talked about the license process, and as part of that, I think one of the things that we did not move forward on was, you know, financial owners and making that a mandatory part of this review process. So I'm very comfortable right now moving forward with this one, so I will look for a motion from the board.
Well, Mr. Chair, I move that we close the public hearing if there are no other speakers.
All right, there's a motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We're going to finish continuing this. So then I will look for a motion to move forward on this.
Before we start the motion, I just wanted to clarify.
We just closed the public hearing. I'm sorry, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, quick comment. So can we summarize what our next step is on this for follow-up, or if any?
Well, I don't think there would be any additional follow-up on this. Our path forward is either we approve the license transfer tonight, or...
And then it goes to the state, right?
And then it goes to the state for approval, and they can move forward with their business. Or the only other alternative is if the board votes not to move forward with that, and then the next steps are, you know, to be determined later.
I agree. I think I'm okay with moving forward. Just for the residents, can we clarify what exactly was the concern and how we are moving forward addressing that?
So I think, again, as Mr. Kisner brought up, it's new information that, you know, we need to review. We will consult with council, and we will, as we've been trying to do in recent meetings, make it a priority to discuss and get a response to, so that the residents understand like what our process is and our understanding moving forward with these things. And again, I think as we talked about the overall license process for a couple meetings, you know, we said things would be, you know, we would continue to figure things out as we went. It was not what we decided on this fall was set in stone. You know, we want the board to be, you know, adaptive to things that come up and changes, and take those into account and review them as they come. So this just is one piece of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot to digest there.
Thank you. Yep, that makes sense.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board authorize the transfer of the Section 12 all alcohol license from Royale Inc., 2224 Main Street, from Marcio Bremerman to Victor Roman.
So, sorry, before we do,
Okay, yeah. Still discuss.
So we've got a motion and a second, and I will open up to the board to discuss further.
my only concern here, and I'm just going to ask it openly, because there has been potential information provided to us that we are unable to verify, that potentially calls significantly into question, not just the decision we're about to make here, but other decisions later in the meeting. Is there truly a reason for us to have to make the decision? I don't want to adversely impact the business by not allowing the license transfer. That isn't where I want to go with this. I'm rather comfortable with this, frankly. But on the other side, I would rightly look at this and say I just established a precedent, and I'm uncomfortable with establishing that precedent given the potential legalities that are at stake here. To me, there is significant information that has been provided to us that I want to verify. I don't need to compound a potential error. And I'm not saying there is one. Please do not hear me implying that there is one. I don't know what I don't know yet. But I at least have to ask the question, are we embracing risk needlessly here? If the rest of you are comfortable, I will follow along, but I felt like I needed to at least ask the question.
Well, I guess my only response would be like, what risk do you think is there? And I'm asking that genuinely.
Yeah, of
because
course.
this is all new information to all of us.
Yep, we're parsing it in real time. I appreciate you engaging with it. I think the potential risk is, because I recall it the way you do, Mr. Chair, we really did explore pretty, I would say almost aggressively on my part, financial interests of business in regards in specific to the one we're not going to name, but we all know who I'm talking about. We really did go down that avenue, and I recall it ending with us deciding that that was potentially not within the allowable remit of the board. And so that was also why I kind of blushed a little bit here, because my recollection was we really did have this conversation and we got some guidance that we couldn't go this way. So my concern is that it once again exposes us from a legal perspective. I don't want to see us getting letters from lawyers suggesting that we have violated rights, and I don't want to see us getting sued again in town. That has been to our significant detriment. So to me, the risk is just willfully embracing what can potentially be exposure.
Sorry, it's not a public forum. I apologize. This is the board's opportunity to discuss. Like, just bear with us for a second. I appreciate the patience.
And I recognize, and I want to be so clear to all of you here, because I know I can poke at everybody. This is not a challenge to the way we have done business. This is not meant to impugn or call into question anything we have done previously. I genuinely don't know what I don't know. So I'll follow, but I at least wanted to say it and make it clear that that's what I was thinking, and at least leave you all with that to consider.
Through the chair, I'm a little confused. Now, I understand the concern a little bit, but not in entirety. Maybe I'm missing something. So if you may help clarify, which is we are making a decision based on the information that we have, and there's new concern and new information that may or may not be applicable. How do we process that? Do we stop everything until we have all the everything again?
And that's not what I'm advocating. I hear how silly that sounds, and I want to be clear to you that's not what I'm suggesting.
Right,
so I'm with you.
No, understood. Because, for whatever reason, next time we're at here, someone else may come with another piece of information. So I'm saying, and we don't want to ignore important information. We want to do the due diligence on those, which I think all are agreeing that we will do a follow-up. But at the same time, we need to continue our operations and day-to-day business. Right. So what would be the proper process? And correct me if I'm reading it wrong. I'm thinking based off the current set of information that we have, and we also verified with the owner that is to be accurate and correct. In good faith, we may make a decision today, and in parallel, we may, do the follow-up on the information provided with the council. And if there is any new information that makes it look any different than what we have today, we can bring it up and discuss and reconsider it in future meetings. Does that sound like the due process?
I like the way you put that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brian, Amy, any thoughts here?
No, I'm ready to take the vote.
I'm comfortable moving forward. There'll be other opportunities when the license is renewed, and it was also going to go to the ABCC. So I think we should get that information from council, but I'm comfortable moving forward with the transfer tonight.
Okay. So with that, I have no additional comments. I kind of share both your opinions on this. So we had a motion, we had a second. So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
One abstention. All right, congratulations on the transfer. Thank you guys for coming tonight.
Good luck.
And through the chair, thank you to the board for the discussion there.
Of course. All right, so next.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, good luck with the business.
Thanks for the good food.
See you again.
So next, the Select Board will consider reviewing and providing feedback on a draft tax increment financing agreement between the town and Open Play LLC for a new pickleball paddle facility located at 124 East Main Street. TIF agreements require town meeting approval. So Elaine, would you like to introduce this one? I know we talked about this, it was probably, a couple months ago. We had them here, it was presented, but just kind of remind us what's happened since and where we are in that process.
Sure. So a couple of months ago, Open Play approached the town and requested approval to negotiate a TIF agreement for their new facility at 124 East Main Street for a pickleball and paddle facility. So the board authorized the negotiations to proceed, and we've proceeded with our team, who includes Lance, Kyla LaPierre, CFO, John Neese, Principal Assessor, and Julia Chun, Sustainability, Economic Development, and Equity Project Manager, and myself. The 24,000 square foot indoor facility is under construction, and it also has outdoor courts as well. So the Open Play initially requested a 14-year agreement. We, in general, prefer, as a town, we've preferred shorter agreements to minimize the lost revenue, and also because we found that businesses over time, as they grow and change, they can be bought, sold, merge with others, and the TIF agreement goes away, and sometimes they don't reach their end, and it just it kind of fizzles out. It ceases to exist. So the current draft that we've discussed with Open Play is a 7-year agreement for real estate tax exemptions and 5 years for personal property. So for real estate, the exemption starts at 90% and goes down to 30% in the final year. And for personal property, the exemption is 100% for all of the 5 years. So, and the exemption is on the improvements. It's not on the full value of the property. It's on the improvements that are made. In this case, the property was vacant, so the improvement is most of the value that's going to be there because there's a new building. So I've distributed this evening some figures on lost revenue that are anticipated that our principal assessor has developed. And so assuming that an assessment is for $4.5 million in year one, with the exemption applied, the lost revenue that year would be $57,024. And that would decrease in the final year to $19,008 for real estate taxes. So that would be the lost revenue for those 7 years. And for personal property, they're anticipating that that will be about $14,000 a year. That would be foregone for a 5-year period. So that's what we have for the board to review and comment on. And also, the Open Play is offering benefits to the community in return. And those are some junior, which are under 16, and senior, which is 65 and up, membership discounts for up to 50 Hopkinton residents a year, hosting an annual fundraising tournament for a Hopkinton nonprofit organization, reserving a minimum of 200 memberships for Hopkinton residents, using all reasonable efforts to undertake a partnership with the public schools for varsity and/or club youth programming, using all reasonable efforts to provide for Hopkinton youth employment, volunteer, and apprentice opportunities, and partnering with Hopkinton restaurants for catering. So those are the benefits that they're offering in return for what the town will forego in revenue over the period of the TIF agreement. And it would start when the facility construction is complete after occupancy. And the TIF agreements do require town meeting approval. So the board's feedback on our negotiation to date is important to Open Play and to us to know if this is headed in the right direction, or if there are other things you think we should consider as we proceed.
Okay, thank you for the overview, Elaine. I think, I'll kind of just, I'm kind of putting all my thoughts together. I think at this point, I don't see the benefits to the town for this TIF agreement. I think at this stage in the project, I think this is something, it seems like it was almost done towards the finish line as a way to potentially save some tax money, and at a time where tax revenue is critical to what we're doing to balance the budget every year. So I'm probably leaning towards, if it was anything, it would be a very short kind of 1-year thing, but I don't see the incentive for the town to do it right now. But I'll open up to the board for their thoughts. Anyone like to go first? Matt, you can go first.
I thought I was going to have to say all that. This is great. I share and echo your concerns here. So I did some blanket math based on what you gave us. It looks like about $350,000 in lost revenue. That's tough. As I recall, the last time we did a TIF, it was for the development up on South Street with Lycan, now Roslyn, CT. a large number of what I would consider to be more white-collar jobs. Not that that matters, but those people also tend to spend a lot more money and engage with other services in town and potentially move to town versus something like more of a service-based commodity. This is a tough one for me, though, because I'm mindful that, as you, I'm looking down the table, like to remind us, we need to be friendly and be open to business in Hopkinton. So I want to be clear here. This is a business I find highly desirable for our community. I think it will do really well here. I think the citizens will support it, and I think it does add enrichment in value. I just don't know that it is something that we should be subsidizing. Ultimately, my understanding of a TIF is it's supposed to help ease the burden of the development. I live near this place, and let me tell you, I have driven by it. It looks developed. It looks built. So I share where you are. I would like to see this significantly shortened, if at all, and I really need to see some financial offset back. Simply telling us that you're going to allow the community to access and leave things aside for them, who else is going to come?
Amy, would you like to go?
I guess I have mixed feelings about it. I do want to be friendly to business. That lot was vacant for a long time, so it's nice to finally have a tenant or developer. So we will get a lot more tax in the long run because it's developed. But I agree that there's not a huge economic benefit to us. About 10 employees, let's see, 50, sounds like free memberships for seniors and students, and 200 memberships reserved for residents. And a charity event, you know, people, we have a lot of charities in town which would enjoy charity events. And I haven't heard too much from the public on this. If they're, I don't play pickleball myself, but, so I don't know. I'd kind of like to hear more from the public, and I would be open to perhaps a shorter term than what's presented so far. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. Of course, you know, as you have heard many times, I'm a proponent of economic development, and we want to attract new business, the right business that benefits us economically as well as improves the quality of life of our residents. And this business, I certainly like. It has the potential for both. And in the long term, it would also certainly create new opportunities and attraction for similar other business. So I'm thinking a little differently. I think I like the business. I like the model to some extent. We have used this model, but I think we need to go back a little bit to the financial drawing board and renegotiate. What I'm kind of looking at is, instead of 350, how about we cap it? I'm thinking of two terms. One is cap it to between 125 to 150 total and reduce the term to 3 years. And second is, we want to also have a clawback clause of some kind, that after 3 years or 4 years, we can find a suitable number. If the business decides to leave as soon as the TIF benefit evaporates, that wouldn't be good investment and would be a loss. So if it were something of a big investment where, you know, closing out the business would incur, for example, a plant or pharmaceutical research lab, where it would incur additional capital investments, which would be difficult to remove over a couple of years, then it would be a different deal, which we may have done in the past, or we can do. Every business and every deal is different. So in this one, I think it's a little more lightweight, and it's much more portable in some ways. So I would request considering these two clauses. One is limiting the term, limiting the financial cap to maybe 150K, in my view, tops, and then have a clawback clause for, say, 5 years or 7 years.
Okay. Brian?
I appreciate the application and the interest in the TIF. Like many of my colleagues, I'm struggling with this one for a couple of different reasons. It feels to me like they're trying to close the deal, and they're putting some stuff on the table in front of us to discuss that are things that are nice to have that might help us close the deal, right? And it's business 101 stuff, I get it. But I'd want, if we're going to do this, and if the town meeting decides to do this, I'd want to see all those benefits in writing as part of the TIF, and have an annual TIF review to make sure that those benefits that have been put forward are actually happening. I like the idea of some kind of clawback if they're not. a termination clause to be included after each year of the review if it doesn't play out. And then maybe this whole thing is just a 3-year deal or something like that. I don't know, but in general, I think there's some selling going on here, which is okay. It's what I do for a living. Selling's a good thing in business. You need to do it. But I'm not sure what the benefit to the residents of Hopkinton is financially for this particular transaction. So I'd want to go into it with a little bit more teeth in the contract to get our money back if it doesn't play out. And I'm curious, so it's about $350K, Matt, on the back of the envelope.
Yep.
Like, what do we see? What would be the financial benefit to the town for this $350K investment? Like, forget all the nice to have stuff, the closing deal stuff. Do we know is there any kind of financial return here for us in this one? Over the long haul there would be.
Taxes.
Right, like within the next 15 years after the 5-year TIF or something like that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, I think about these TIFs though, and again, it's just my opinion, but I see this as, I think if it was Amy might have brought it up, like, we want to bring more businesses to town. Like, when I look at this business is already in town. Like, it's not like it came like, hey, we're looking at Hopkinton and Ashland and Milford and Holliston for a new pickleball facility. Like, it's already here. And for that reason alone, I don't see the benefit. I don't see that $350K. I think that's more important now. And, again, I've been up here just as much. Economic development, very supportive. I would love to help bring more businesses to town. I think that $350K revenue is more important right now. And if we look for other businesses that try to come in the future, we can support them. This one, for me, just doesn't make sense on the timing.
Yeah.
I like the way we're signaling this at the end. We are not opposed to a TIF. We are not opposed to working with you, but we want to work up front, and we want it to be because you want to be here.
To elaborate on the last comment, I think I'm just trying to clarify. So the business is already here, set to go and everything. Then what is the TIF incentive, purpose of the TIF incentive? I thought they are going to make a decision and go full blown, and that's where the TIF incentive is. Can you clarify on that?
So from their perspective, they're starting a new business from scratch, and so it's tough to get that going. But also, they can use the TIF, even if it's a 1 or 2 year TIF, whatever TIF it is, to leverage some state funding and loans and so forth, tax credits, those kinds of things. So it helps them get into the state queue for certain benefits.
Yeah. So to clarify, they are a business here and they're going to operate here. They're requesting this. This is not a negotiation perspective per se, right? It's an open request. The reason I'm saying it that from a negotiation perspective, I think we have a very good upper hand if that is the case, because this is not the time to negotiate a TIF. Right? But we are very happy that they're here and we would love to cooperate and collaborate. But again, I agree that there is no additional benefit for the town at this time to get into a TIF, it seems then.
Yeah, and I just pulled up on my phone, and it looks like memberships are already open to start it. Like that's to me is a revenue source. I could potentially start at any time. So I don't know. I have nothing else to say. I'll look for the board if there is a motion. Again, this has to go to town meeting either way. So this is really looking for the board's direction on how supportive or not supportive we are of this.
Does it have to go to town meeting?
Thank you. That was the question I was about to ask through the chair.
If we don't sponsor it, it doesn't go to town meeting.
You'd have to submit the article.
Wait, what?
If we do that,
Well, it's on our potential list of articles that you would submit into the warrant.
Right, so we would essentially have to vote to include it for it to then be considered by the town. So to Brian's point, I don't even know if we need to continue negotiation if we are not in support of it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're all hearing that.
I am comfortable continuing some negotiation for a smaller TIF, but if the rest of you are not, then we shouldn't drag it out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we can just do a straw vote. I am not.
I'm not.
She said, are you comfortable? It was negotiating a smaller TIF, keeping that open. She was comfortable for that. Matt and I are not. We're just kind of giving everyone a chance to talk.
I'd go smaller, 1 year increments and check on it.
I am okay with smaller incremental. And I'll be also elaborating just a little bit. I think from a business negotiation perspective, it wouldn't make sense for us to do it right now because, again, the boat has sailed. But I think as a welcoming gesture and for an incentive and kind of promoting factor for other business to come, this would set a good tone and vibe for the town, which I'm in favor of, but maybe 1 or 2 years then, because it's completely a kind of pro bono incentive from my view.
So-
Add just a little something. Just one thing to consider too, if we possibly do a smaller one. So having some new businesses can bring more new businesses. Like it brings more people to the area that are going to play pickleball. Then they might want to get a coffee or they might want to do other things in town. So, and we have this goal of downtown revitalization after our big project. And I think something smaller would be appropriate myself. And I think because we do want to encourage that revitalization of downtown with the project being done. And we'll have the Marathon Center soon. So anyway, that's my 2 cents and why I would want to do something. But if I'm outvoted, it's fine.
Chair? I think some of our colleagues would expect this from me. I'm curious what our 3 members of the professional team think about this TIF and if they would support it.
I do.
I know you've been negotiating it, but I'm just curious, like, it's okay, what do you think?
Yeah, I think sitting down with the business, you become aware of what it takes to start a new business from scratch, go to a place and make a huge investment. So I understand the need for some assistance in the first couple of years. Beyond that, I don't necessarily think it has to go on for very long. I think it's going to be a very successful business.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo that. I think, my big concern going into this was just, a matter of precedent and what that looks like. When we set a TIF agreement for a business, it's already committed to being constructed. I think in this case, there is, an interesting factor that kind of sets it apart in that this was a difficult to develop piece of land that sat vacant for a long time. So that, even though maybe the process a little bit cart before the horse now, because now we have this applicant coming to us after committing to build, whereas, if he'd approached us beforehand, it may have been a different discussion. I think, that is a kind of a distinction in this case that, he has decided to come to Hopkinton and develop this difficult to develop parcel. But again, it's already underway. So, the ball's certainly in our court.
Kyla, would you like to?
I agree with everything said. Shorter term is much more welcoming to me than a 7-year term.
Okay, so I heard kind of 3 of the board members express interest in continuing negotiations. You guys are the negotiating party, so if you guys agree with that as well, I don't think it's, it's not on us to hold you guys back, it sounds like. So do we need a motion for this?
No.
Okay.
We'll see if they're interested in that.
Everyone comfortable?
Yep.
Good. All right.
Thank you. Tell it's the new year. We're very collaborative tonight.
All right, next we are going to move on to the license renewals. The board will consider renewing annual licenses for the following businesses. Section 12 Restaurant, all alcohol and associated licenses for 110 Grill, Carboni's Restaurant, Cornell's Irish Pub, Hopkinton Country Club, Co Restaurant, Pan Thai, Beaumain Pizza Bar, Rapscallion, O'Reilly Mexican Restaurant, Hopkinton Center for the Arts, and Arcos Hospitality. Section 12 Club, all alcohol and associated licenses for the Woodville Rod and Gun. Section 19C Farmer Brewery pouring permit for Startline Brewing Company. Section 15 Package Store, all alcohol licenses for Hopkinton Wine and Spirits, The Vin Bin, and Country Farm Liquor. Section 15 Package Store wine and malt license for Global Montello Group, which is All Town Fresh. Common Vic license for Muffin House Cafe, Aramark at Dell, 176 South Street and 228 South Street, Blue Square Pizza, Starbucks at Price Chopper, Starbucks Coffee at 85 West Main Street, Red Barn Coffee at Angels Cafe, Domino's Pizza, Crust & Co., and Hopio. Class 1 and Class 2 licenses for Bulldog Fire Apparatus, Inc., Whitehall Auto Sales, Inc., and Main Street Service Center, and then livery and limousine license for Able Limousine. Select Board will consider granting an extension of licenses for businesses for whom the annual inspections are not yet complete. So we initially went through a couple of these, and the inspections weren't ready when we met back in December. So we've made some progress on those here tonight. I believe not all of them are completed. So
Correct.
Elaine, you want to jump in?
Only 6 of them are ready for renewal.
Through the chair, if I can ask a quick question. So based on our previous discussion and our animated back and forth with the potential policies, I want to ask, this This is different than a license transfer. These are existing licenses, and it is within our power to extend them without any impact to the business.
Correct.
Without indulging or engaging in whether or not what we were presented with was valid, is it worth us considering an extension until some period after our next meeting, not more than a day or two would be my preference, so that we can at least finalize this such that we do not put ourselves in a position of approving the licenses at risk? I'm going to ask again. This feels a little different to me than the previous discussion.
Mr. Chair, I'm confused. Are we talking about the 6 that have not submitted yet, or are we talking about all these other ones here?
So only 6 businesses have completed, the inspections and so forth have been completed for them, and they're ready to go. The others, we're asking for an extension of those.
All right,
One's in the motion document.
So just to clarify, there's a group of them that we already need to submit extensions for, or we need to do extensions for, just because incomplete
They're not ready.
permit or, so inspections. And then, so your recommendation is, do we extend the other ones pending more information from the, or more intel on the information that we received tonight?
Especially now hearing that it's 6 and we're going to be expending all the other ones anyway, as it doesn't have adverse impact to the businesses.
Yeah, no, I was just making sure I wanted to understand that. So I just think it's something, it's a great thing to bring up. I just want the rest of the board's thoughts on that exact matter. So we'll just kind of go down the line, share what everyone thinks.
Are we thinking that one of these is a auto sales company, not a liquor license at all? Are we still wanting to, is the proposal to extend that one as well?
At least that's what I'm asking. I want to be clear, not a proposal, not an ask for a vote. To me, we're having a discussion.
Right now, I'm just kind of looking for a straw poll on
So I guess there would be no harm in it just extending them another couple of weeks.
correct. The licenses would continue to operate with an extension.
So,
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I'm still confused. Must be an hour or something. It's not even that late. We just talked about 30 different businesses.
Yep.
Are all 24 of those 30 ready to go?
Only 6.
Only 6 are ready to go. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, 6 of this list are ready to go, and the rest haven't done what they need to do.
So that's where I was going
So
with.
something's wrong here.
Yeah, so if we got to extend 24 anyway.
Correct. So his idea is we're already, like, we need to extend 24, just out of,
Yeah.
to allow those businesses to operate.
Yeah.
And we received some new information tonight that none of us could confirm. We don't have legal counsel, but I think there was an appetite for us to get some legal response on. So the idea is just, why do we not just extend them all for right now? We will move on. It gives us 2 weeks to get some feedback from legal counsel on that information, and then we make an informed decision at our next meeting.
The 6 that are ready to go, who are those, please?
So those are O'Reilly, All Town Fresh, Carboni's Restaurant, Country Farm Liquor, and Beaumain and Whitehall Auto. And if it's helpful, I can read from the alcohol policy as far as what's required with an application and what the standards for issuance of a license are.
through the chair, that would be helpful,
Why
but,
would you want to do that?
but one quick thought on that. I think we need to also, maybe this is a good example, we need to also kind of reconcile among ourselves. How exactly are we going to approve this going forward for now and in future? So for example, all 30 business would potentially have many inspections. Each of the inspections have 30 to 60 checkpoints and all that. It would be impractical, and also from the charter's responsibility perspective, to get into that level of operational detail that we are going to look at every single checkboxes of each inspection. So I want to make sure that we are all on the same page, as well as, we communicated well with the town residents that what exactly is the framework we are going to use. And here's my thought and suggestion on this, which is, for example, these 6, they have completed all the required documents, inspections, and all that are ready to go pending our approval. So I would like to ask the questions in a way that, based on the town's expertise, the town's assigned administrators, and Elaine, you being, the chief administrator, unless you see any aberration, any exception, any escalation that we should be taking aside and considering and discussing, and then make a special decision. The way I would want to have this framed is that Business A has completed all the required documents, inspections, passed, CORI, SORI, and all the required policy-driven processes, and we do not have any objection. We recommend it to be approved, and there's no exception required. That type of kind of spoon feeding in some ways of the gist of the outcome of the process would be, I think, appropriate in many ways, because we trust the town administrator, trust the process. We went in detail very much with this process and all the questions, and if needed, we will go again. But once we have decided that type of framework, I think, would be meaningful for the efficiency as well as compliance and adherence to what we are trying to do. If everyone agrees, I'd like to propose that we do things that way, and at the same time also limit kind of our liability, that we are not going through every 60 check boxes. I'll pause. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Yeah, you have a thought?
Sorry, so a couple of thoughts. This notion around new information, we really need to put that aside. Okay, we cannot run this board, we cannot run this town based on new information presented at meetings because somebody's mad at somebody else. We just can't do that. So stop worrying about the new information. We have a process, let's follow the process, let's get it done. We have 6 folks that have done their job. Maybe their financing the business requires a license to be in place by a certain time. Maybe there's some other corporate governance that they have to have a license at all times. If someone's done their job, we should approve those tonight. The ones that haven't done their job, or not that they haven't done their job, the ones that haven't got around to submitting yet, we should extend those. But I don't want to hold up the 6 folks that did their work.
So I think, so what I'm hearing is kind of 2 suggestions. One is extending them all, which to the next meeting, which again, doesn't hold back anyone's license. They continue to operate with an extension. And then yours is moving forward to approve the 6, and then we have to extend the other 24 just for lack of inspections anyways. I think both are feasible options. It's kind of, we'll do a quick straw poll. I know where you 2 are. Scheidel, you want to start? Like, where do you fall on those 2? They're both paths forward.
I'm honestly open to both, but given, we are extending, I think logically extending all would make sense. And the threshold is very small, it's 6. So I would go with extending them all. Although I agree with Brian or Mr. Hare that, to incentivize someone doing things right and on time is a good thing to do, but it's 6 versus 24. So I just go with extending all of them.
Amy?
Yeah, I agree with Brian that I think I would feel comfortable moving forward with these 6 that are all complete based on the process we've gone through and all the applications that have been submitted. But I agree that I don't think it would really cause any harm for them to have to wait 2 more weeks either if we extend them.
Yep.
I appreciate your perspective here, Brian, and I'm thinking of Glenn Close. I don't want to negotiate with terrorists either, and that isn't the way that I want to see things run here. So I want to make it clear that I do hear you. I'm coming around quickly to where you are. I really do not want to establish the precedent that you can stop the routine workings of the government here by suggesting something, and it is well within our authority to come back and alter our decision based on information that we learn. I think you've made a rather fair point.
Are you changing your...
I think I am in support of what Mr. Herr is proposing, that we approve the 6 which are existing and known licensures and which have, as Mr. Manon has highlighted, gone through our town process. For the other 24, they get extended, and if we learn something that changes that, gosh darn it, we'll do something with it. Okay. Well said, Brian.
So I think that looks like there's a motion ready for that.
So with that, speaking to the 6 then, Elaine, can you please confirm that for these 6 applicants, the process is buttoned up, all the i's are dotted, all the t's are crossed, all the tests, the queries, everything are done and complete?
They are. So the board requires, in addition to the ABCC renewal application form and other documents that they require, the town requires its own general license application form, which they've submitted, proof of insurance, which they've submitted, certification of completed alcohol awareness training, which we've received those, and the town's application fee. We've also queried and sorried the managers and owners as well.
Perfect.
Per our bylaws and state law.
And board policy.
Policy process.
And can you please read the 6 again for me?
This is O'Reilly, a Mexican restaurant, Alltown Fresh, Carboni's Restaurant, Country Farm Liquor, Bo Maine, and then also Whitehall Auto Sales, which is a Class 2 vehicle license.
So through the chair, question independent here. Does this, and maybe I'm asking Elaine, I apologize. When should I be discussing and when should we be getting back to the entertainment license piece of this and the fire chief's comments about, would that be now?
Some of them, yes, so. yes,
That's
some
for
of
a
them also
rally,
have-
which is one of the 6.
That's why I'm asking.
Yes.
Moving on from alcohol, so some of them also have entertainment licenses.
Okay.
And one of those is O'Reilly, which is, as we discussed with Cornell's recently, is one of the older buildings that lacks the current code-compliant fire protection. And so in 2023, the town, when they got their original license, the town was faced with the same question. And the town attached conditions to that license, which you have before you this evening. So the Director of Municipal Inspections and the fire chief at the time signed off on a list of the terms and conditions for approval of the entertainment license. And so we would continue to attach that to their license, and that would be a restriction that they have in effect. So even though they had requested additional items on their application, they would not be able to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarity.
Mr. Chair, I move to renew the following annual licenses. Carboni's Restaurant, 280 Cedar Street. Beaumain Pizza Bar, 14 Main Street. Oral Mexican Restaurant, 2224 Main Street. Country Farm Liquor, 3 Cedar Street. Global Montello Group doing business as Alltown Fresh, 92 West Main Street. And Whitehall Auto Sales, Inc., 34R Spring Street.
I hate to say this, Brian, but I think
Second.
some are victuallier and some are, and at least one is all alcohol, so we need to read the whole thing.
Do we have to state the type of license?
Make a solid point, thank you. Would you like to read them all?
I got it. I got the big mouth. We may as well take advantage.
Go for it.
All right.
Motion. I move to renew the following annual licenses. Carboni's Restaurant, 280 Cedar Street, Common Vic, Section 12 Restaurant, all alcohol and entertainment licenses. Beaumain Pizza Bar, 14 Main Street, Common Vic, Section 12 Restaurant, all alcohol and entertainment licenses. O'Reilly Mexican Restaurant, 2224 Main Street, Common Vic, Section 12 Restaurant, all alcohol and entertainment licenses. Country Farm Liquor Store, 3 Cedar Street, Section 15 Package Store, all alcohol license. Global Montello Group DBA, Alltown Fresh, 92 West Main Street, Section 15 Package Store, wine and malt license. Whitehall Auto Sales, Inc., 34R Spring Street, Class 1 and 2 auto dealer licenses.
Excellent. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So there's been a lot of discussion, but I will open it up. Final thoughts from the board? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous. All
Mr.
right.
Chair, I move to grant an extension of the following licenses to January 21st, 2026, the day after the next Select Board meeting. Number 1, Section 12, Restaurant All Alcohol and Associated Licenses for 110 Grill, Cornell's Irish Pub, Hopkinton Country Club, Co-Restaurant, Panthai, Rapscallion, Hopkinton Center for the Arts, Arcos Hospitality. Number 2, Section 12, Club All Alcohol and Associated Licenses for Woodville Rod and Gun Club. Section 19C, Farmer Brewery Pouring Permit for Sturtline Brewing Company. Section 15, Package Store All Alcohol Licenses for Hopkinton Wine and Spirits, The Win Bin. Common victuallier licenses for Muffin House Cafe, Aramark at Dell, 176 South Street and 228 South Street, Blue Square Pizza, Starbucks at Price Chopper, Starbucks Coffee at 85 West Main Street, Red Barn Coffee at Angels Cafe, Domino's Pizza, Crust & Company, Hopio. Class 1 and Class 2 licenses for Bulldog Fire Apparatus, Inc., Main Street Service Center, and livery and limousine license for Able Limousine, Inc.
Second.
Okay. So we've got a motion and a second on that. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, quickly, next time, I would just like to ask if it's possible for the licenses that are not complete when we review this item again, if there are any that are outstanding from a perspective of there is potential back and forth from like a compliance perspective versus we simply haven't done them, I do want to start to tease that out as we get into further extensions.
There is a chart in our packet with has the
Yep.
detail. Yeah.
Okay.
Elaine, would it be appropriate to reach out to all these folks and just remind them that we're going through this process and this is like the second meeting, we've kind of kicked this around for half an hour, and it'd be nice if we could just get it done.
Yeah, I suspect we may have a few next time who aren't ready either, but we will try our best to get them
Thank you.
ready.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Final thoughts?
I hope you were hearing us clearly. We are going to start viewing the extensions differently.
Okay. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. Those are extended. And that means we are moving on to, the Select Board will consider reviewing the adopted financial management policies, which were last reviewed in 2022. So, oops, I just closed out of it. Elaine, do you want to, I know this was brought up as a board item, future item. We haven't reviewed it in a couple of years. But, you know, we got some intro stuff. Do you want to introduce this? And I know, Kyla, you're here, I'm guessing, to join us for this? Just listening? All right, well, you're welcome to just sit with us, but Elaine, you want to?
Yeah, so pretty comprehensive. These were developed in the past by this board and the Creation Committee, reviewed every couple of years by both boards. So it's here for review.
Perfect. So I take it the board's all had a chance to look through these policies. I'll just kind of go down the line. Thoughts, comments, initially from the board. Amy, would you like to start?
Well, in general, I feel like it's been working pretty well for us the last few years. So I guess I would ask if town staff had any recommendations for changes.
There is one section in the policy that I do think we need to review under the capital program policies. So it's something that we're not currently doing that I would like to discuss.
So is it one of like the lettered items, or is it you're suggesting a new one?
We're adding a letter, yeah.
It is
No, I heard that as,
capital program policies, letter C.
heard that as there's something we're not doing.
So it's just saying, for each of the town's capital assets, the town will determine its annual capital contribution. In items, annual capital contribution is the amount of money that should be set aside each year to have enough money available to pay for a replacement when the current one reaches its end of life.
That's wild. That's like town escrow for all our assets.
So when I started reading this, it would mean that we wouldn't need capital requests for things like vehicles. So my advice would be that we need to change our policy to make sure that we have our policies that are based on reality, not what we wish we are doing.
What would you recommend?
That we follow our capital request process, because we currently don't set aside money for replacement vehicles in a standard fashion. We are attempting to put money into capital stabilization, but we just started doing that last year and again in '27.
And so you're suggesting, instead of doing it, literally going capital asset by a capital asset and assigning an amount per that useful life, putting that into that capital stabilization, it's just what we can afford to put into stabilization each year as opposed to individually?
Correct.
Okay.
And let's say we talk about the capital reserve in the next item, item D. So do you think that's sufficient and we would get rid of item C since we don't really do that?
Yeah, correct. I don't think that we're ever going to build up our capital reserve to cover all of our capital expenditures indefinitely, but I do think that we can build up our capital reserve or capital stabilization in an effort to reduce the impact on the town in the future.
Take it a step further, I think we need to almost clarify what we envision that capital reserve being. Because from my experience chairing that committee, we tend to view that as what free cash is for. And so I truly wonder if we'll ever allocate anything into a capital reserve, given that we tend to just put things into either stabilization or free cash and then kind of allocate from the most easy to allocate bucket from. So I think there may be some clarification needed from us as well.
Yeah, I would change this capital reserve fund to capital stabilization. I don't think a reserve fund, I don't think that title of reserve fund is correct in this policy.
And it seems like we don't get to do it anyways, right? Today, we don't set aside that money.
If it's extra money, we put it in stabilization.
But not one for one,
Correct.
right? Yeah, it's not practical.
Correct.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I just want to like capture what we're suggesting. So we're recommending potentially removing item C completely, and then in item D, changing that to capital stabilization instead of capital reserve fund. And I'm guessing in item E,
Yeah.
that would need to be changed to stabilization as well. Okay, I'm just,
Through the chair, Kyla, when was this written? How old is this?
The original draft was adopted May 15th of 2012, and then revisions were done in April of 2022.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, the capital CIC review limit is 25K. Was that from 2012?
I don't know what was revised between 12 and 22. I just have an updated revision from 22.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was thinking the threshold seems low. Not that we don't want to review all the important capital requests, but in 13 years through inflation and all that, I think 25K seems like a low
Yeah,
threshold.
that's part of our bylaws, too.
Change the bylaw. Okay.
Oh, part of, oh.
But that's a good point, that maybe we should consider that if we give
but-
regulation.
I mean, do we want at a time when, you know, capital projects, you know, we're in such a dire budget situation, wouldn't we want that oversight into even smaller amounts? Because you guys are suggesting.
No, it's suggesting the capital improvement committee, they don't review items less than 25,000. And that's kind of might be an outdated number.
Right, but where I think the chair is going here is, let's say we bumped that to 50,000, those now disappear and become line items in the budgets. They're a lot harder for us to tease out and for the town writ large to tease out. Whereas if they go to CIC, they are explicitly capital and they're kind of detached from what you might classically consider ops expense.
Yeah, again, it's a personal opinion. I'd prefer more oversight on these capital projects right now than anything. I don't know if, again, is that the best decision? I'm not sure. It's just my opinion right now. But again, that's why we're discussing as a group.
If I can, Kyle, I didn't get a chance to spend as much time snuggling this guy as I wanted to. Can you help me understand where in here it defines our requirement for what our stabilizations actually need to be at? I was looking to find that 5% you and I talk about so often.
So it's on page 3 of the debt management policies. So hold on, I have this highlighted, hold on. All right, so the reserve and stabilization fund policies, that's on page 2. It's on section, part B, where it says, the town will establish reserve levels that meets its needs. It shall be the goal of the town to achieve and maintain a balance in the free cash stabilization fund of 5% of the operating budget.
Thank you. I was looking for percent, and of course we typed it out. You're always going to catch me.
And then the debt management is about the debt ceiling, about where we want our debt service to be in comparison.
The only other one I wanted to ask you about, and I know this might be a little bit of a blurry topic, I was surprised that and maybe I missed it, so if I did, I apologize. I was looking for policy around enterprise funding, and I didn't see anything in here from a financial policy perspective about our position on enterprise funds. Is that something you think we should be considering for enhancement?
It hasn't been included in the past, and knowing in '25 that we did not have enough money in retained earnings to fund our capital projects, it should be considered to include them in our financial policies and possibly maintain a similar threshold for retained earnings.
So without going down the rabbit hole of something that isn't technically the agenda item now, this is something that I've been talking to you all about, that I've been working on with Kyla, Abrams, the DPW, et cetera. I would like to suggest that there is an opportunity for us to mirror some of the language that we're seeing here, to put some safeguards in place around the enterprise funds. Again, we don't have to get into it now, but I really would like us to consider that as part of the enhancements here. And just generically, what do I mean? We've been essentially discussing some controls that we could put in place that would make it very hard for the fund to go negative again. And we don't have to get into why or who's, that's not what I'm interested in. I want some good financial policy.
To the chair, Mr. Kisner.
Yes.
I wanted to understand, so what would be your suggestion to add? We currently have two policies related. One is they have to be self-sufficient, and another is responsible for enterprise funds and fee-based services, and annually report the percentage of each service paid. Are you recommending adding to that or changing anything?
I am, because ultimately we have allowed the fund to operate in a position in which it did not operate in self-sufficiency. So I am suggesting the requirement is well documented there, but I believe Ms. LaPierre said it better. We should have the policy that we are actually managing against versus the one that we are imagining and hoping for. And I don't mean that as a criticism to you. I think we aren't following what we should be following here. We have not set that fund up to be sustainably managed, because ultimately to sustainably manage it, we, the board, whatever iteration it is, need to set rates that allow it to make enough money to sustain itself. The enhancements I'd like to put in, as Ms. LaPierre is suggesting, maybe around what is a healthy percentage of operational and capital that we could be putting aside, mirroring how we approach it from a town perspective. And I don't want to get into the numbers or anything like that, but that's what I'm thinking.
Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you for
I think that is worth looking at. Obviously, this is aspirational, and we know Park and Rec and probably water now too, right? They don't always are self-sufficient, 100%. So do we want to put a threshold like 80%, or what would be the objective? Because either way, we'll have to fund them. But the purpose of the enterprise fund is that it would run like a business and be self-sufficient.
Yeah, something for like retained earnings. I don't think we have to go that high, just because we review it on an annual basis. And if we want to have retained earnings that high at any given point, it's really taking the taxpayers' money and holding it in a savings account, which is just going to increase their rates unnecessarily at any given point. So I think a 10%, 25% threshold would be great, just to cover emergency expenses as well as build up for future expenses.
Yeah, so through the chair, Mr. Manon, we've been talking with Abrams about essentially leveraging a 2010, I believe is where we ended. So I think it was 20% of capital expense and 10% of operational expense, and using that kind of as our floor for what we always wanted to have on hand. There's still a little bit of background math in terms of in years where we're pulling and borrowing for big capital expense, you might still see some rate adjust. But ultimately, the hope is that, one, it makes it so that we can never be insolvent again. Two, the rate should feel a lot more dynamic and understandable to the people in town, because they're going to be so much more closely tied to exactly what the operation and cap is as the minimum versus where it is now, which is we're given information, but it's ultimately a political decision. It's always going to be a political decision, but I'd like to see us have some better guidance about the way we should make the decision. I think that's the right way of framing it.
Understand, that makes sense. My suggestion would be to think of something that's practical in a sense, not only, kind of leaving the uncertainty or the volatility of a political, aspect of it. Meaning, then you'd have much more, and I know appropriations does that too, much more control or estimate of what is realistic and how you want to incorporate it in the operating budget. In the operating budget, going with the assumption that it will be completely self-funded is not practical, we know that. So the more we can tune that is better for tuning and preparing, forecasting our operating budget. That's the benefit I see that, having this. So I like the 10, 15, 20 idea. if you want to firm it up, give some thoughts or analysis and talk to the Appropriations Committee as well, I think that would be a good addition as well. And the last thought on that is that if something is consistently not fully enterprise fund performing to the expectation of the enterprise fund at one point, and we have done it in the past, we may want to restructure it and say, hey, this doesn't make sense for it to have an enterprise fund structure.
And just to be clear, if we go down this path for like the enterprise funds, we don't need a bylaw or anything. We can do that as a board policy. Is that correct? Right? Because the board oversees the water sewer enterprise.
Yeah, I think I would hear this as we're implementing best practices, and if we put them into here, it gets harder for us to make a decision that is not in compliance with them. But at the end of the day, we are the board, and we are ultimately responsible and empowered to make the decision.
Okay.
So are we asking town staff to come up with a slightly different draft language for enterprise funds?
I think I'm proposing to you that this is something that I've been working on in the background in terms of the broader water, sewer, and enterprise. This looks like the place where what I have been working on would appropriately go without creating a whole thing out of cloth, and I didn't know that.
But we don't have text from you tonight, so.
Yes.
So we're asking them to come up with,
We're in alignment.
okay.
Yes.
And Elaine, that all sounds accurate to you? Like the process would be to get new draft language added into here to reflect this, correct?
Vote on it another.
We can vote, yeah. I just want to make sure we're all understanding the process.
Yeah, through the chair, I brought us a little further down the rabbit hole than probably necessary because I wanted to do it in open meetings so that we could have the benefit of the discussion and rationale in public.
Through the chair, one other item, Kyla, while we have you, I wanted to see if we can incorporate because it's a policy. So as a policy, essentially, that would be a good principle going forward. And we've discussed it during our operating budget a few times, which is just as we limit or put on a threshold for our stabilization funds, I want to consider thinking of having a threshold for our quote-unquote free cash, our favorite. The reason being, and I mentioned it, and we are working on it with the new operating budget, I think a little bit better than the last few years. Not that I don't want the extra money. To reduce the projection and the actualization of the free cash. So maybe make it, we should target not to have more than 3% of the free cash. 3% of the OPEX as free cash and continue to monitor that. Think of a percent that you think is practical, and going forward we can put it. This is basically a financial policy that will hold us, our feet to the fire to be more fiscally responsible and financially principled and disciplined. That's the goal here, and I think that would be a good addition if we can come up with some formula.
So would you like to work with like our town leaders to come up with that? Kind of like Matt's working with them, and in a future meeting, we'll kind of go through this new language together?
Yeah, sure. I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Okay. What else? So we had a couple proposed changes under, Elaine, you captured them under the capital program, those changes. I think everyone was in agreement on those. Just going back, right? Removing item C and changing reserve fund to stabilization in D&E. I think with it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
With it, like Elaine, Lance, any other recommendations that you guys have heard or something that we should be considering inside of these policies?
No, I think I would just recommend that when we have some proposed changes, that we run them by the Appropriation Committee as well.
Yes.
Well, I think then it would make, do you suggest running it by them beforehand, or inviting them to our, like if we're getting this new language that we're talking about from the enterprise funds and then you're setting up a threshold, we would discuss that at one of our future meetings. I think it would be appropriate to invite them and discuss together, or do they need to see it ahead of time?
Good, if the timing works. Otherwise, they could do it at one of their meetings as well.
I'd also suggest water and
during meetings this season, so I hate to ask them to get another.
even before we get to appropriation, I think I'd like to develop the language, and then through the chair, I'd really like to have a conversation with Water Sewer Enterprise Fund, Water Sewer Advisory Board as well, and our director of the DPW. So I think there are people for us to bring in, and it's not going to go anywhere without going through the right parties. I have no interest in rushing on this.
Yep. Nope, I would agree.
The other item I noticed, it mentions the fall special town meeting could be used to, but we
don't have
haven't really
one.
done that by habit. We've occasionally had one, but, I mean, I'm okay with leaving it in there because I think it is a good idea. But do we need to change the wording since we don't typically do it, or
I think we've talked about maybe we should
maybe we should do it? Okay. But we might even want to change the charter on that. Charter review will look at that. Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's mentioned in the charter as far as timing goes, so the board can call a special town meeting anytime.
Yep. But I guess I kind of like the idea of it being set and people knowing when it is so that they can plan for it. Yeah.
But I felt like one of the problems was like this year, we didn't have certain information until like the DOR got back.
Right, I know.
So,
But,
so it's, if we put a date out there, does that lock us in, or if the
we always have
language?
another one.
If the language is flexible, well, so two special town meetings would certainly not be my preference. I don't know, I just want to be cognizant of that. And again, we decide as a group, so.
I mean, maybe we solve this by simply just amending to as needed. And then it's just there, and it's optional. Hey, to your point, let's look at the language.
Yeah, I would like to strengthen it to pick a particular time frame. A lot of towns
When I
pick a
didn't,
time frame.
and to your point, Amy, I didn't enjoy how ambiguous it was that it was referring to the use of something that we know we aren't using. I think Ms. LaPierre has made a really good point. This needs to reflect reality.
Okay. I mean, I think we're obviously going to be back here
Yeah.
soon to go over some of these changes, so we can incorporate that one as well and discuss it.
Thank you, Kyla.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyla.
Thanks.
All right, so I think that brings us to the town manager report.
So, should I wait for Matt to return? So that everyone's here. Okay, town manager report. In the report for this meeting, I addressed the town employee tax refund issue that was raised at the last meeting. So there are 24 federal tax refunds due to some town employees that have been delayed. This does not appear to be occurring at the state level and only at the federal level. The IRS has not indicated to the town that its delays are related to anything connected to the town's tax filings. The town performed its tax filings by the required state and federal deadlines. There were some employees who were issued corrected W-2s due to vision and dental coverage that weren't shown in the correct box, and we discussed that at that time. But that does not seem, it doesn't seem that the delays are related to that change. A few of the individuals who shared what they learned from the IRS regarding their particular returns indicated it was due to items unrelated to the town. And just, adding that the IRS is a federal agency, they do their own thing. The town has no control over them, their employees. And news reports have indicated there's been significant layoffs at the IRS. So I don't know if that's a complicating factor, but that's what we know about the refunds.
Hey, through the chair, I really appreciate the follow-up on this. I didn't mean to suggest, and I hope it was not heard, is that the town had done something wrong. Rather, I wanted to show that we really did receive a number of communications about these, and it isn't always easy for us to respond to them individually, and we're not allowed to respond as a group to those communications. But I just want to show these things don't go into the void. We really are asking and trying to follow up, and so I will ask one more question here before I just say thank you. From your perspective, is there anything that we can be doing or should be doing to ensure that moving into the current tax cycle that we don't see a repeat? And the answer can be no, we're doing everything. I just want to ask so that we can say it.
Yeah, I'll add that, our finance department does the tax filings on the time. They'll continue to do that. They will continue to look at any changes that are necessary. And our state and federal partners are requiring different things. We'll continue to monitor that.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to note that we would like to help people with their individual returns, but we can't. We don't have access to people's returns. We can't talk to the IRS on their behalf, and it's unfortunate that we can't help people more.
This is exactly why I wanted to talk about it. Sorry,
Yeah. As a follow-up, again, I think you clarified, like, the refunds being held up is not necessarily directly tied to the mistake that was made on the payroll side. But for this upcoming tax season, didn't we move or are moving to a separate payroll provider?
So January 1st, we went live with our new payroll system on the town side. The school is staying with our previous payroll and Munis. They preferred to remain with that, but we went live this week with our new payroll system.
Okay. And can you just remind me, like what was kind of the thought process behind making that move to the new payroll provider?
So we were not happy with the customer service and other services that were provided to us over time. And so we looked for a better alternative, and we think we found one.
Awesome. Thank you. Josh Idol.
Yeah, through the chair. Just one other additional comment. I would suggest, can we put out some kind of tax advisory for our employees and staff who might have certain challenges because of some of the issues they have experienced? I think anything we can do to help them navigate through this.
Yeah, I think we've reached out a couple of times and inviting people to contact Kyla to perhaps they can talk to the IRS together on their issue and so forth. And some people have taken us up on that.
Okay, yeah. That's good to know. Yeah, I think as much as we can help, of course. Thank you.
Amy, any thoughts?
Yep. For the corrected W-2s due to the vision and dental coverage, has that been identified where that problem happened and that so we can avoid it next year?
Right, so it turns out that had been occurring for a number of years and nobody noticed it. And that's another reason why we changed vendors. But it's corrected now, going forward.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm just going to say, as someone with a kind of complicated last name, I've had W-2 issues in the past, and it turns out if your middle initial is wrong, you can still submit it and it works. But if they spell Vertebrust without the C, then it does not. It gets rejected, and then I get delayed.
So sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, it happens.
Okay. Next, town department position vacancies. So requesting approval to post a dishwasher position at the senior center. The vacancy resulted from the promotion of the current dishwasher to food service worker position. And this helps the town to maintain kitchen operations at the senior center, where they serve meals daily on weekdays, ensuring sanitary conditions, maintaining compliance with health and safety standards at the senior center. So it's a budgeted part-time, 19-hour-a-week position, and posting it will allow them to continue providing uninterrupted services to the senior residents in the community. And when we're short a dishwasher, other employees at the senior center have to be dishwashers.
Thank you.
Just mentioning that.
I don't have any issue with that, but I think we need a motion, so.
Makes sense. I move the motion to approve the position vacancy of dishwasher at the senior center.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any thoughts?
Happy scrubbing.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain.
3 and 1 abstain. All right, thanks, Elaine.
Next, talking about annual town meeting articles. At the next meeting, you'll be voting on submitting articles into the warrant. So I just put in here some of the articles that I've talked about at the last meeting and the list of the regular recurring articles that will be coming up at the next meeting in case you have any questions or suggestions as we move toward the next meeting. The electric bicycles bylaw, just mentioning that. So we had come up with a brief draft and sent that out to a couple of folks who expressed interest in helping us with that, who had raised questions and concerns. So getting some feedback on that right now.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay. Perfect.
And then nothing to update on the Main Street project as it is winter and nothing is happening.
All right, perfect. I think that brings us to liaison reports and board invites. Shadul, would you like to start?
Nothing on the committees at this time. I think one thing just to point out, give me 1 second. I have a couple of events that I wanted to highlight.
We can come back to you.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, Real quick for me, I had an opportunity to check in with one of our appointees on the Voc Tech School Committee. So we've divided ourselves across tax and the new school building committee over there. So that is something I want to highlight in open meeting, is that Keefe Tech is beginning the process of thinking, not just thinking about, they are going to build a new school. They already own the land. It's going to go where the football field is. So ultimately, I think in a few years that will potentially come here in terms of what it looks like for Hopkinton to support that. And then potentially questions about apportionment, which I teased here previously. Does Hopkinton want to have dedicated seats at Keefe Tech, and what would that look like? But those are not on fire yet. So just continue to highlight that they're coming and things are changing and happening over there.
Perfect. Amy?
We've gotten a lot of invites lately in the last week, but we got something to the Winters Farmers Market is having a visit from the state, I think, from the Department of Agriculture on March.
The indoor farmers market, I was going to talk about that, right?
Yeah, so we might want to attend that. And then the HCA, I got an invite, I'm not sure if it's from the HCA, or from HOP Organizing for Prevention, having a Dry January event at the HCA. I think it's this weekend.
I think it's this Friday night.
This Friday.
Yeah, so that sounds a nice event for people who maybe overindulged over the holidays and want to do a Dry January. And then for the Revolutionary War anniversary, there's the Knox Trail 250 celebrations, and we got a long email with many events throughout the region that we can attend and learn about that history.
Perfect. Thanks, Amy.
I think, Amy, you may have mentioned this. The Drug Free Committee Coalition, they have an event on Friday, 6:30 p.m. at Hopkinton Center for the Arts in honor of Dry January. So it's 6:30 to 9. Sounds like a fun and very meaningful event. So feel free to join that. And then Farmers Market, the indoor Farmers Market opens this Sunday, and there's an event at 11:30. And I'm planning to go as well. Obviously, our farmers market have been a tremendous success. And I saw the discussion on record that we had on LNG, but wanted to bring that up maybe in the next two, that we want to start thinking. I started the topic as a committee for LNG, but it doesn't have to be a committee. It can be, that's the discussion we should have. It can be a committee, it can be a framework, it can be a policy that we want to do to provide more oversight and regular reporting on that. And we were discussing with our state rep, Erna De Rosa, and we're going to continue the discussion along those lines, that with state and with town, what type of framework would be appropriate, and we can come back to the board with some kind of proposal outline. So that's a little bit of update, and also request to keep it on the radar of our agenda item in the future. Yeah. Those are the few. Thanks.
Thank you so much for mentioning that. I had forgotten I had had the opportunity to have lunch with Mr. DeRosa in follow-up to our Eversource conversation, and I do look forward to partnering with you on that based on your experience here.
Okay, so we can kind of bring that into, I think we have that on as a future board agenda item, but, so we can just kind of go, if you want to continue with do you have any other future agenda items?
No, not at this time. That was the one I was going to bring up again. Yep.
Okay.
I have one, but I think based on what I want to ask, I'm going to choose to ask about it in private as a potential executive committee item.
Okay.
I did think of two other items, if it's okay. I just wanted to mention the Commission on Disability got a grant recently that was in the town manager's newsletter, I think, about to do a study of the town's needs for accessibility, which we hadn't done in a long time. So that can help guide us for what capital projects maybe we can move forward in the future.
Totally agree. And Amy, on that note, did we hear back from the Disability Commission if they have any proposal or outcome?
I really don't, they have not been meeting too frequently, and I really don't think they're ready to come do a presentation. So
weren't we going to have them in like the summer and they weren't ready?
Yeah, we hardly met, we only met a few times this year, really, to be honest. So, in last year. So we are working on things behind the scenes here, and having this grant will help, because then we can kind of move forward in a direction. But yeah, they're not ready yet, but we'll bring it up. Okay. And the other thing is, someone mentioned to me, or Parker Happ, that there's a possibility of a class action lawsuit against about firefighter turnout gear that used to have too much PFAS in the past. So I mentioned that to Elaine to look at and the fire chief in case that was something we would want to get involved with. Like, we've jumped onto some other class actions in the
And I
past.
reached out to town council so he can address it with the board.
If it would be worth it, okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. I think we talked, like, just to formalize it, we talked about, one, we're going to continue our financial management policy review at our next meeting, but also two, we're going to look for an update on some of the new information we got and how that impacts our license process. So just so that we can capture those two. But I think otherwise, we're good. And with that, the board will consider convening in executive session, so I'll look for a motion pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations with the DPW and fire unions, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate, land at map U19, Block 54, Lot D, map U18, Block 48, Lot A, and 280 Cedar Street, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board, and to approve executive session minutes 11/18/25. And I think we had to,
If I may offer, in addition, to also allow Elaine Lazarus and Lance Del Pior to participate in said executive session and not to convene an open session at the conclusion of said executive session.
Second?
there's a motion and a second.
Yep.
So this has to be roll call, right? So
Shahidul Mannan, yes.
Matthew Kisner, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes.
Joe Clark, yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a
Good night.